Today, we're going to talk about why dating apps are trash and why you should go out and meet a person in public like a normal human being. Also, I have a message to people who think they're too good to tip, but they're not too good to go out and eat at fancy restaurants. And also, we're going to talk about how putting trans women in sports is going to eventually eliminate women's sports, and there's no way around that. This and more on the Chico de Manuel Show. Welcome to the Chico de Manuel Show. I'm your host, Chico de Manuel. We got some fun and interesting topics we're going to talk about today, but before I get into that, I'm going to ramble a little bit. Something I've been noticing lately in the Las Vegas area, it's like, man, it's fucking, you wouldn't think until you move here, until you live here, you wouldn't really fucking think like Vegas gets this damn cold, but I'm telling you, man, it's like, one thing Vegas is it's really fucking windy. Like, there's no shortage of wind in Las Vegas. Like, you can come here, and just a few days ago, it was like 38 degrees outside, and it had like 22 to 25 mile per hour sustained winds. Sustained winds. Like, it's not so much just the active climate. Like, when there's no wind, it's cold, but it's a tolerable kind of cold. It's like a Midwest fall kind of cold. But once that wind get to blowing, man, you know, that shit might as well be snow. It's cold as shit. Like, excuse me, I thought the summer was bad. Like, man, I'm ready to fucking get back to 118 degree sweltering heat, like booty short weather, like not doing anything outside unless I have to. Like, I'm ready to get back to that. Those were the days. Like, the days are longer. Like, I feel like it would be easy like that. What's that shit called? Seasonal depression. Like, in the wintertime, like, you just get depressed because it's less sunlight, less vitamin D, which translates to less fucking dopamine processing or whatever. Like, it's somehow tied to when it gets cold and gloomy outside, like, people's moods tend to sour more often. And even my ex-roommate I was living, he invited me over to his house to show me, and got a fucking Casio keyboard that cost like $2,500 or whatever. And he was like, because he's a French African, and he's like, I bought this because in the wintertime, when cold outside, nobody wants to come out, nobody wants to go. So I buy this so I have something to do to keep me occupied during the winter. It's like, it's actually a pretty smart idea. Now, I wish I had $2,500 laying around to buy a Casio keyboard, but I don't. So, you know, I got shit like podcasts, YouTube Premium membership, which I just subscribed to, and it's so just, oh my God, ad-free television is just fucking great. These are the type of things that are gonna get me through these winters, that are gonna get me through this sitting in the fucking house all day, like having to wear baggy ass jeans and heavy jackets. Like, I'm not with that shit. I didn't move west to have a shitty climate. Like, I just didn't. I'm over that shit. And the sun ain't been coming out as much lately, so like I understand. Like, I see how that shit can be depressing. Like, when you spend and being unemployed through that shit, Lord have mercy. Like, you spend 72 hours consecutively in the house, like, and it's not like a couple days off type deal. And you'd be like, what the fuck, dude? I just need to go outside, just even if it was to take a piss in the alley or collect my mail or like walk around the block. Like, just the outdoors is just, even with these frigid ass temperatures, it's still infinitely more desirable than fucking sitting up in the house all goddamn day. Like, I swear sometimes I be losing my fucking mind. I be absolutely losing my fucking mind, just being bottled up in the house all fucking day. So yeah, man, I'm ready for I'm ready for the summer to come back. I'll much rather be sweating my ass off and having it be 99 degrees at 1 a.m. than a cold, frigid, crippling ass fucking 38 degrees, 32 shit. The lowest I've seen it be this year was like 28 degrees. It's like, no one, like, you look up at the stratosphere and it's fucking closed. Like, it's closed all day. Normally you can hear people shouting and hooting and hollering from the top of that shit. It's not even on. The roller coasters are in their tucked position. Like, it's not dangling over. They're not operating. You know? And I'm tired of that shit. And it seems like the winter lasts so fucking long. Like when it starts getting hot again, like you forget about the whole past 6 months. Like it's just almost like a different, like I forget what the summer was like. So during the summer, I forget what the winter is like. Like I'm just ready for it to be hot again, man. Like start doing like some outdoor podcasts or something, like traveling around or something, man. Like this shit is just, it's neutering. And I wish I could take a direct action and cause a direct consequence at this moment, you know? It's fucking pathetic. So I think that's enough stretching out how much I fucking hate Las Vegas winters and winter in general. I'm ready for the summer to roll around. We got some good topics to talk about today. At least I feel like every day they good topics. I don't care what you feel. It's not your podcast. But without further ado, let's get into that third place topic. All right, third place topic of the day. It's in regards to dating apps and why I personally think dating apps are trash. I wanted to get some feedback, but I wanted to get some live feedback. Firstly, my opinion on dating apps is, yeah, they definitely suck. Like dating apps they contribute to. Well, I guess they contribute on both ends to it, but like in the way that it shouldn't contribute, it contributes to people not getting out and interacting with one another. Yes, I guess the online and digital interaction counts as some form of interaction, but it does not serve as a substitute for fucking actually going out there, actually meeting somebody on the fly, like reading some body language and employing some social dynamics. Like it's not the same. I used Tinder for a long time. This is way back, maybe like at least almost 10 years ago, because it was like 2013 or 2014ish. I was just coming back up from Florida. I was driving back up to Michigan from Florida, and I was fucking using Tinder throughout. Like I met a girl on Tinder who I still speak to this day. Actually, me and her actually in a little bit of an argument. Down in Florida, I got a couple lays off of it. Like, I think I was using Tinder as I was passing through Ohio on my way back and got a little lay on the way up from Ohio, which, you know, more power to that. And, like, I got quite a few lays off Tinder, like, more around when it first dropped. Like, I was talking to so many fucking girls at once. Like, I was literally having to save their picture next to their name so I could fucking, you know, remember who I was talking to and not get the conversations mixed up. And now I'm out in like West Michigan. Like I'm not out in Detroit. I'm in like Chinison, Grand Rapids and shit. So it's like it's a different culture a little bit. You know, I'm out here with the white folk. Cause that's a lot of what Michigan is. You're either black or you're white. Not a huge chunk of diversity. Like they got like a Mexican town or whatever, but not a huge chunk. But like the thing with having all those conversations is like if I was talking to say 10 girls, I probably laid 2, maybe 3 out of them. For every 10 conversations I was just holding, a lot of those conversations fizzled out. The other conversations got me laid, but then the girl, I'd be like, good luck, Chuck. The girl goes off and gets married, or she finds some other fucker that she wants to deal with, or, you know, she just gets tired of me, or the spark fades and there's nothing there worth. Like, if you can't come over here and fuck, or I can't do this, and I can't do that, we just gonna go our own way, you know? So, and since then, I just realized that unless you get a dating membership that you pay for, like, or even if you pay for it, like a lot of times I don't think it's gonna really increase your odds. The only thing that's gonna increase your odds is taking it really, really seriously. I might have took it seriously, but not really, really seriously, and as a result, like I just didn't really. Over time, I just realized that I'm getting nothing but clearance rack bitches off these dating apps. Like, I really got a better chance of bumping into a chick in person and taking that route. So, I pulled up a couple articles using Google, and I'm going to share my actual Google search with you just so it's like I typed in, are dating apps successful? My personal opinion is I think dating apps are trash, but I typed in successful as to not confirmation bias myself and find articles that tell me it's trash already. the first thing that comes up, like just the first bold print result says the majority of American online daters, 54%, say relationships from dating platforms are as successful as in-person meetings. Out of the remaining 46%, 5% say that such relationships are more successful than relationships that started in person. And 41% think online relationships are less likely to last. So I guess I fall in that 41%. When I scroll down a little bit, there's one article from Pew Research, which I might check that out, the virtues and downsides of online dating. We got another one I clicked from brides.com that says, is online dating worth it? And I see another one that says, why dating apps could be the reason you're still single. So just based on that result, I would think, just judging off the type of sources that I'm getting, the answer to that question probably aligns with that opening stanza, the 54% of American online daters. I don't know how many people were asked that, how many numbers that's based on. I'm just going off the what it says right here. So before I click on that, I'm gonna click on the Pew Research one because I haven't clicked on that one. The other one's from brides.com. That kind of makes me take it less seriously. I'm sorry. Okay. So we got from February 6, 2020, The Virtues and Downsides of Online Dating by Monica Anderson, Emily A. Vogels, and Erica Turner, courtesy of the Pew Research Center. 30% of adults say they have used a dating site or app. A majority of online daters say their overall experience was positive, but many users, particularly younger women, report being harassed or sent explicit messages on these platforms. From personal ads that began appearing in publications around the 1700s to video cassette dating services that sprang up decades ago, the platforms people use to seek out romantic partners have evolved throughout history. The evolution has continued with the rise of online dating sites and mobile apps. Okay, so it's more to read, but I kind of want to get to the bullet points. I want to see if there are headlines or am I going to have to skim. Okay, so we got one chart right here. It says 3 in 10 Americans have used a dating site or app. 12% have married or been in a committed relationship with someone they met through online dating. Note, those who did not give an answer are not shown. Survey of U.S. adults conducted October 16 to 26, 2019. So, 3 in 10 Americans, that's 30%, have used a dating site or app. 12% have married or have been in a committed relationship. So out of 3 of 10, just about 3 in 10 of that, so you got 10%, 30% of people use them, and of that 30-something percent, 12% are still locked in. Okay, they got another one that says they have ever gone on a date with someone they met through a dating site or app, 23%. So 30% have used, 23% have gone on a date, and 12% have hooked. So that's almost about a half of half decrease in terms of serious outcome, long-term dating. What's the next one? Just skim through this a little bit. Younger adults, as well as those who identify as lesbian, gay, or bisexual, are especially likely to use online dating sites or apps. Online dating and finding a partner through these platforms are more common among adults who are younger or LGBTQ. 30% of U.S. adults, 32% men, 28% women, ages 18 to 29, 48%, 30 to 49, 38%, 50 to 64, 19%, or 65 and older, 13%. 20% white, 31% black, 28% Hispanic, 28% straight, 55% LGBTQ, 22% high school or less, 35% some college, and 35% college or beyond. Courtesy of the Pew Research Center. Whites and blacks include only non-Hispanics. Hispanics of any race. So Hispanics are of any race. LGB indicates those who identify as lesbian, gay, or bisexual. Those who did not give an answer are not shown. Survey of U.S. adults conducted October 16 to 28. So it's like, to me, it doesn't really sound like this shit is worth it. Doesn't really that's just that article. Let's reach on a little bit. Let's click this other one I was gonna click, the main one. Like 30% out of 30% use, 23% of that. Let's say 30 is 100 and 23% that's 23 people, and 12% of them, which is like 5 people. So 5 people out of every 100. My math may be skewed, but it's not that great. It's not that great, man. Like, it sounds like out of most people that use it, half of them, it's like a real anomaly kind of thing. All right, CloudWords is the site. It's 25 online dating statistics and trends in 2023. Tinder, Hinge, Match.com, the online dating industry is booming, with millions of users making dating platforms their preferred get-to-know-me method. We've put together 25 online dating statistics to show you what's going on in the industry by Andre Haji Vasile. Andre Haji Vasile. I hope I said his name right. Boom. Okay, so key takeaways. Online dating platforms aren't going away anytime soon. Their popularity is on the rise, with new users registering every day. The majority of online daters claim it is somewhat easy to find compatible partners. Dating app revenue was $5.61 billion in 2021, even though Tinder, the most popular app, has a free version. Tinder is a to-go dating platform nowadays, but it has strong competition and rivals like Bumble and Hinge. Okay, so we all know what Tinder is. Bumble is the same damn thing, except women swipe men, and you men don't. The women. What was Bumble like? Bumble was like where the women gotta swipe you instead of you swiping them type shit. Which is I used it, didn't really get no action on that. I used Hinge, the dating app designed to be deleted, and got a few conversations going, but it's got that inclusivity, that diversity, that woke ass little undertone to it. Like, I can't fuck with it. Okay, so I'm gonna just run through these 25 statistics real quick. The number of dating app users grew to 323.9 million in 2021. Wow. 19% of internet users are currently using an online dating platform. Different age groups have different app preferences. LGBTQ users are twice as likely to use a dating app. When it comes to race, platform use is fairly equal. 42% of online dating users aim for marriage. Over 13% of online dating users got engaged or married from a dating platform. 54% of online daters in the U.S. say relationships that come from online dating are just as successful as ones that begin in person. 26% of online daters aren't looking for a commitment. 19% of online dating users talk to 11 or more people. Fucking A. 28% of men and 34% of women meet matches in person for at least one date. Women are more likely to care about profile information than men. 29% of online dating users meet matches right away. 49% of users said it was somewhat easy to find people who share their hobbies and interests. 98% of online dating users claim to be truthful. The downsides of online dating. Romance scams increased over 4 times from 2016 to 2020. What was that one shit, the Tinder swindler or some shit like that? Came on Netflix, which I don't have. Negative experiences on online dating services are not that uncommon. 45% of users say an online dating site or app made them feel frustrated. Dating site revenue hit a record. Oh, okay. Well, that was the 3, I guess. I thought they was gonna run through more of that. I'm sorry. And it says in the industry statistics. Yeah, 5.61 billion in 2021. We discussed that. Tinder is the U.S.'s go-to platform for online daters. Hinge and Bumble are growing fast. Tinder versus Badoo. There are twice as many men as women on Tinder. You could guess some of these. Match.com has an equal split between men and women, and Match Group owns 22 dating site and platforms. So, as much as I think they're trash, 323 million dating app users. Like, if every person of the population did it once, that would pretty much be spot on. So a lot of people tend to like it, which is one reason why I'd say it's trash. I mean, I guess I've met people on dating platforms before, and like, I guess I judge it on the fact that I'm not still with them now. Like, it didn't last, or it was a fling. So like, I haven't really found anything meaningful on it, and it seems like the percentage of people that are finding something meaningful on it is pretty low. What does it say? 1 in 5 internet users are using. Oh, okay. Thought that was something different. But it seems to be making a lot of money. It seems to be at least getting people together, which they would say is an advantage during all this COVID nonsense. But I don't buy that. Like, we need to socialize. Like, we need to go out to clubs. We need to talk to women. Like, women need to talk to men. Like, all this dating game and power and control and immature adult shit, like, is not gonna trump going out and meeting people in person out in the real world. Like, going out in the real world is something we're meant to do as humans. Like, we are biologically and evolutionarily programmed to just want to explore and adventure and conquer and like live lives of substance, not just be fucking around just, oh, who can I fuck, swiping through pictures like it's some type of online pussy catalog. Like, motherfuckers can really get out here and vibe like we supposed to. I'm not saying online dating, if it works for you, it works for you. But in my opinion, they're trash, because I think people would just have much better odds in person. Society as a whole would benefit from it in more ways than you can primarily see. So that's my take on dating apps. Let's move on. All right. Our next topic of the day. This is a message to all people who are against tipping, who think the idea of tipping is asinine, who gloat about their unwillingness and their conscious decision to not leave a tip for somebody who has worked really, really hard for them. I've been in the restaurant industry a long time. I've been in other industries for a very long time. There weren't necessarily a lot of the jobs that I've had in my life were, I worked for tips because it was a hustle factor to it. Like, if I could do my job better and create regulars better or create satisfied people better, I believe that it would improve my tips and I would make more money, and other people would be complaining about the shit, and I wouldn't even want to hear that. Like, the last thing I want to hear about is somebody complaining about tipping, because that energy contributes to people not tipping, and everyone, in my opinion, should tip. It's and the only times you shouldn't, whereas if you got unsatisfactory service, like if your service wasn't, to where all you really had to do was just sit back and enjoy your meal, or sit back and get this service, or somebody going the extra mile for you, or like, I'm gonna speak more prominently about the restaurant industry because that's where I spent most of my time working for tips. But like, when you have somebody that's waitstaff, they could drastically determine how good an experience that you have. Like your waiter or your waitress, your bartender, like all of that shit. Like, you could be coming to a restaurant for weeks and months, and you had this one waiter who always took care of you. But one day he's not there, and you get somebody else, and they're just completely off the mark. Like, they just fucking up everything. They're not getting you your food on time, your drinks ain't offering you refills, and you just like, well, what the fuck? You know? Yeah, you don't tip that person, but you see how drastically you going to the same place and doing the same thing will feel and be much different. Like, it'll leave you with a foul taste in your mouth. Like, that could determine whether you even ever want to come back to that place again. Like, that's why when you get excellent service, you should tip. When you get decent service, you should tip. Nobody's perfect. Like, when you get decent service, you should tip. At least, in my opinion, if you got excellent service and you can't find one thing to complain about, a 20% tip is customary, in my opinion. Like, if I dropped the ball 15, 18, if it was just really, really, you know, if I just did the bare minimum, 10, but I didn't make any mistakes, 10%, somewhere between 10 and 20%. Like, that's just what I'm accustomed to getting. That's what I regularly got for the most part when I waited tables. I got really, really good at it. I got really, really good at bartending and talking to people and, like, being a personality. So it was like, it wasn't a question. 20%. Did I get stiffed? Yeah, I've been stiffed plenty of times. It happens. I don't get stiff. I don't get mad about being stiffed because, you know, at the end of the day, it is other people's money. It's your money. Tipping is completely optional. You know, you're not forced to tips unless sometimes where you have a big party and they put an auto gratuity on it. You're not forced to tip. But, like, I've heard and seen some people that just say, well, I should have got a different job. Like, well, yeah, but what the fuck has that got to do with anything? Like, I should have got a different job? Like, you should fucking cook. You should cook. You should pour your own drinks and fucking get your own sodas and waters and refills. You should do all that shit yourself. Especially with the type of impact that a waiter or a server or a bartender can have on your restaurant experience. If they make it pleasant, if it's joyful, if it's something you want to repeat, that has a cost. That's a service. That's a value. Like, I'm offering you a restaurant experience that you cannot imitate. You can't fake this. You can't just get this everywhere you go either. Like, this is something, it's a craft. It's an art to it. We've all had, like, really, really good servers, and we've all had fucking numbskulls that just can barely carry food. Like, some people are cut out for it, some people ain't. But you know how good they make that experience for you. You know when you become a regular and you guys are talking on a first name basis, and whenever you need something, they get it. They know exactly what you want. They know how to serve you up. They know how to make you feel important. That's a value. That's a service. And just because it's optional, and I feel like for the vast majority, most people lend themselves to they tip. Most people don't have a problem with it. Most people understand how it works. But just the number of people that I've seen and how devoted they are to just, like, who gives a fuck about you as a person, and, like, you know, all these other people tip. It's like, I don't understand, like, when someone is serving you and waiting on you at your beck and call, like, why would you not want to show appreciation? Why would you not want to pay for that? Like, especially when it can tremendously impact the overall quality of your visit. Like, it only take one of them situations to just make somebody not come back or go somewhere else, because this place is everywhere. It only take one little fucked up experience to turn you off. The food come undercooked or some shit like that, or one of the servers get an attitude with you and shit while you with your wife and kid or something. You just be like, fuck that place. We ain't eating there no more. You know? Not to mention that, like, how expensive food is. Like, You know? I just don't understand how some people go, like, I've had people literally block me on Facebook for, like, saying, like, you should just tip, though. Like, even if it's $1, like, nobody's telling you to leave a fucking blank check on the damn bar top. Like, just saying, like, something. Of course, I'm less satisfied with, like, disproportionate tips in terms of the cost of the bill and the service given. But, like, I feel like my ability to accept that that it's going to happen doesn't necessarily stop my belief that we could get to a point to where it just doesn't happen. Like, I understand, like, that it's at the decision of the person that's doing the thing. Like, they might not care about that. They might not, you know. I've noticed that well in the poker world as well. Like, but I just don't understand it. Like, I don't understand it from a sense that if I was to implement it in my life, I cannot see that I would be a happier or a better person for it. I'm not saying I always tip either, you know. If I'm going to a restaurant, I'm going to tip shit. If people go above and beyond, I have something to give, I will gladly tip, like, as often as I can. Only time I wouldn't is if it would, like, financially, like, put me in a tough spot, like, for in regards to the immediate present and near future. But, like, I don't have a problem tipping ever, man. I get it. We all get it. Like, a little gratitude goes a long way. And, you know, we all out here trying to make it too. We trying to give you a good time. We trying to take care of our families, pay our bills. Like, if you know you're not, then I don't know, man. Like, I guess just say it, just tell the motherfucker so we know, like, you know, we'll still take care of you. But, like, if that ain't your MO, like, that's our MO, you know? So, I just think you should just tip as often as you can and do it because you actually appreciate, you know, what you got. And that's how to ensure you continue getting it in the future. Like, you just have a better experience when you tip. Like, people are going to notice that, and people are going to, you know, it gets you that experience to the fullest. It's just like if you watching videos on this shit and you get the membership and you unlock access to way, way more videos and shit. It's like, yeah, you get more when you spend. You get more in the form of, like, good service or excellent service. So that's my spiel on tipping. Now, rubbing my hands like Birdman, we get to move on to this main topic. Let's get it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've arrived. Main topic of the day. It's not a strikingly new subject, but it's one that I often see pop up. It's one that I'm hearing quite a bit about. I've actually gotten letters in the mail regarding this topic. And I honestly believe that trans women will kill women's sports if they are allowed to compete amongst biological women. Now, I don't think it's a need to cite this. If you want to get on the internet and you want to find some evidence that this is not some left field claim just out of nowhere, that in the realm of physicality, men have a clear, distinct biological advantage over women. Joe Rogan made the best example, because we'll get into all of that, but Joe Rogan made the best example. It's like when people say shit like, oh, well, they're on the hormones, and that hormones literally breaks their body down and blah, 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 blah. Like, I find a couple problems with that. So, like, if we're not going to constitute a quantity on how much it breaks the body down, how much it affects the performance, and, like, and how many people does this happen to, And is it based on other circumstances like bone density and build and whatnot? Like, if Brock Lesnar was on hormones, would you put him in the ring with any woman? If the fucking dude from Game of Thrones, the Mountain, I can't pronounce his name, like, yeah, I'm not even gonna try. But that dude, like, if you put him on fucking hormones for what, 1 to 3 years, they gonna go from being 7 feet to like being 5'8", and they just gonna like shrink down. Like, no, it would never work, and no one ever says it will. It would be said it's probably just an extreme example, but it's not extreme. It's a real example of like how it wouldn't change that much. Like, they would definitely detriment. It would definitely be a detriment, but it's a negligible detriment considering everything else about this person. Fucking massive, giant, beast. Like, it's not, he would undoubtedly break every breakable record, either with his athletic ability or with his fucking fists. Like, this is not, I really find it appalling that this is even an actual discussion. Like, that this is even something that's being talked about is treading on like major league absurdity. It's comically fucking comedic cognitive dissonance. Like, this shit's funny. It's like I have to laugh in order to not cry. Like, they're actually putting trans women, or I shouldn't say they're actually putting, but I've heard the conflict arise around putting trans women in female prisons. Like, how is that not, like, is you really willing to die on this hill? Like, really? Like, locker room, I'm not okay with this. Like, locker rooms or some shit like that. It's like, man, like, but the prisons though, like, you hear that and you so committed to like this paradigm that's not based in reality. You so willing to commit to that you would put a biological man in prison with women. Really? Like, at what point is this shit clearly definable as off the rails? Like, at which point is it gonna be an aspect of life, and when this shit doesn't have to pop up or be discussed? At what point do we really realize that equality of outcome is not the way we need to go as a society? Equality of outcome is, man, that shit is just is nonsense. That shit is poppycock. The fuck? Equality of outcome? So, like, let's just say if they had equality of outcome in NASCAR, and it's like, what, 32 cars in a race, and you finished 27th. So what, now you should just finish first? Everybody should get a first place finish? Everybody should be acknowledged for coming in a worse position? Shit doesn't make sense. Not for a fucking second does it make sense. Like, this should be the one area where if you was really, really trying to push this agenda, you would steer clear of. This is like, it's like a bull in a china shop, man. Like, come on, bro. Really? Like, it's really eye-opening. This is the type of shit that really, really makes me I'm confident when I say like this left wing shit, these Democrats, they have lost their fucking minds. Like this is complete insanity. Complete certifiably crazy fucking insanity. That this is even a topic. Like this shit should not, like this is like some open and shut shit. It's like, so you said what? So you telling me this male who wasn't even ranked in the top 500 swimmers, who's now a woman and competed against biological women and just dominated, there's no correlation? The hormones have broken her body down and whatnot and all this and that. Then how come they're not taking second place? And this is the point where they just hit you with some shit, label you, call you a this phobe or a bigot or some this ist or whatever the fuck. You get drowned in it. Because there's no argument. So I found this fucking interview. It's a Vice interview. It's a little snippet of it. And I got one more little clip of something I'm going to play. I found it on YouTube. It's on Just Pearly Things. Just a clip of the little Vice interview where they had like these 10 women in the room. And they was all from like a different culture or race or socioeconomic background or whatnot, or something to that effect. Like it's a diverse group of women, and they on this panel, and they was talking about the issues on trans women in sports. So I'm gonna rotate real quick, and I'm gonna provide commentary. So let's get it started.
Should trans women be included in feminist conversations? How about in women's spaces?
Yes, they're women.
What? Okay. Let's just stop there. This point has already been pointed out. This point has already been made. If trans women are women, the phrase defeats itself. Like if trans women are women, then we don't have to call them trans women. We just call them women. Why do we have to call them trans women? The trans women are women. They're women.
What's the question?
Trans
women are women.
So I want to come at this from the position of an athlete. So I play semi.
Oh Jesus! So if you see this interview, it's the girl that's got the white hair. She got the comb over, and she's got, you know. And she thinks she's a moral elitist, is what I'm trying to say.
Pro basketball, semi-pro volleyball. So when it comes to like athletic spaces, I don't think that trans women should be allowed into athletic spaces because I don't think it's a fair. I think as female athletes, we work so incredibly hard for the little opportunity there is in women's sports.
Would this be a barrier?
There's no barrier. There's less opportunity in some industries.
That's what a barrier is.
There's less. It's not. No. It's based on the market. Okay.
Hold on, guys.
Okay. So again, we work very hard for the little opportunity there is in the space. Because we're not as entertaining as the men. Sorry, we're just not. And so it's like you're gonna take the little opportunity that we're given. And the problem is like, we can't compete. We can't. Like I'm 6 foot. If I go up against a 6 foot guy and I play basketball with him, he's gonna body me.
And what happens if I go up against you?
He's gonna body me. Oh my gosh, she said he's gonna body me. Like she know what time it is.
Even if I have years more of training. And so it's like you're taking away the little opportunity that we're given and we all work so hard for, and you're just giving it back to biological guys. It's like this will be the end of women's sports.
Have you tried confidence?
Eli, hold on, Minnie.
Sorry, confidence can't make me bench what a guy benches. Confidence can't make me
guys are
6'7".
so hostile. She's sharing her
Confidence
experience.
can't make me 6'7".
No, she's sharing
And I have to go.
No, she's not. She's actually
Misogyny?
Experience one at a time. We let Pearl finish.
your own experiences and your own existence, and yet when a woman is sitting here telling you, I feel as though this is unfair and this is compromising and this situation is not helping women, you guys are like, but when you're like, I'm a black person that did did this, and this, then it's not valid and fair and viable.
Eli, I want to give you the chance to...
Man, somebody need to give her a husband, for real. Like, she was the only one that came to bat. Like, they really believe this shit.
So this is basically a joke of a talking point. Everyone has
I agree.
biological advantages in sports.
Everyone has biological advantages. So, okay, here's a hole in that logic. If you're going to have any kind of advantage, it has to disadvantage somebody else. So, like, if everybody has advantages, that means somebody's got to have disadvantages, because the advantages mean I have something that gives me the edge over you. So if everybody has something that gives them the edge over everybody, then, like, what the fuck is the value in that? That doesn't really make sense. Like, everybody has biological advantages, but, like, in the physical realm, women do not have biological advantages. Trans women do.
How tall are you?
5'11" and a half. I'm tall.
I'm 5'8". I am a trans woman. You would crush me. You would absolutely crush
Bone
me.
density, wrist strength,
Yeah.
muscle density, you can't switch those.
Yeah, exactly. You would crush me.
But also, Eli, you would never play at the level that pro plays, because
Right.
you would never get there.
So let me
Right?
give you a few more examples here too. So Michael Phelps produced more lactic acid in his body, which caused him to swim better than
Relevance.
his competitors. This
Relevance.
was highly celebrated, and nobody contested it. Now, this is in performance-enhancing hormone. So we all have different bodies. And now I'm not saying that trans women who aren't on hormones should participate, but there are, every major medical and every major sports organization agrees that trans women who have been on hormones for between 1 and 3 years, depending on the organization, have the same competitive abilities.
The study that you're referencing had like 7 people
7 people.
participated.
7 people participated, and she trying to tout that shit like some existential fucking fact. No.
Misinformation by referencing several different studies. I'm a trans woman and a researcher.
It's getting personal. I don't want it to be personal.
Oh, it's personal.
That our opinions don't count because they're not the right kind of opinions, and we're constantly shouted over and talked over, regardless of what we look like, because there's one group in society that basically takes precedence, and it's frustrating. So yeah, of course, it's frustrating.
What the fuck, bro?
It's frustrating. So yeah, of course, it's frustrating.
Fucking, you hear that? How condescendingly evil. That laugh was so disrespectful, like in the middle of her sentence, like just the need to be seen, fucking drama queen. Like, god damn, it's pandering as fuck, man.
Frustrating because when we try to talk about it, we get shouted down, we get told to be quiet, we get spoken down too as well. So there's hostility there for plenty of women.
Let's try to make this an opportunity to speak.
You're literally a white woman from Australia. You live in a bubble and you're pissed that voices that have been silenced forever finally can be heard.
That's why they
What
have
are you
to
talking
voice
about?
as they speak up.
Voices that are being silenced. What are you talking about? How the hell is that relevant? Like, what? What's that got to do with anything?
Okay, we're having a conversation about transgender women participating in sports, and I wanted to allow more people to participate.
Thank you.
Jordan, I wanted to hear from you.
At least the moderator keeping this shit all off from going off from spilling into some other shit. This is exactly what I said. What the fuck is what you said got to do with what we talking about? Get your emotional ass out of here.
So I am not a professional athlete. The closest thing I have ever done to anything athletic was I used to do competitive show choir when I was younger. And I don't feel really qualified to make carte blanche statements about whether or not trans women should compete in every kind of sport. And I understand that is kind of, that's a hard pill to swallow. And for me, my first inclination is to approach everything through a lens of inclusivity. But at the same time, I also can't speak accurately to every kind of sport and the different things that go into it. So I really think in these instances, the decisions are best left up to the professional governing bodies that dictate these particular sports.
I just feel
I agree with that. I agree with that. She copped out, but I agree with it.
as an ally in places where there's no understanding, we can just respect and not really, like, our opinions don't fucking matter.
Oh, curse. Ooh.
9, your head over there.
several times. This is more than about sports. This is about free and equal participation for transgender people in social life. And the right sees this as a socially acceptable way to begin to remove trans people from different engagements in...
Remove them. They had to be there already to be removed. Y'all be fairly new on the scene.
Our society. So it does just start with sports or bathrooms or locker rooms, something that they find is more acceptable. And then at this point, they start to move into education, getting trans teachers fired, banning trans books. This is a route that is very effective because it's seen as more acceptable. But it's also overlooking a lot of major details. Like, I mean, do y'all know how many trans women have won national titles?
One too many.
One. It's Leah Thomas is the only one.
For one, why is that okay? Why is the fact that she's the only one making it okay? Like, that anomaly out does not make it okay. Like, what the fuck is she talking about? You just admitted to knowing what's going on. Even if it's one instance. It's more than one instance, but you saying you know about it, but it's just a teeny tiny bit. The fuck?
If women's sports were actually going to end in some way, I mean, that's just not happening. Wouldn't you think?
I mean, if they were going to end in one way, I mean, that's just not happening.
There'd be more trans women in sports when the majority of states do allow trans women full participation. International titles, 0.
International title, 0. Okay. So you got to win an international title to be considered, fucking dominating at your sport. If you don't do that shit internationally, I don't give a fuck what you talking about. That shit on a drain because it got to be international.
No global titles have ever been won by a trans woman.
What the fuck does that mean?
I want to move on to a different topic. I want to talk about Me Too.
No, I don't want to talk about Me Too. So yeah, that's that. Like, there's 2 women up there that's got some sense. The ones that didn't speak, they stayed out of that one for a reason, which was smart of them. And the ones that did speak, they just kind of embarrassed themselves. Up there babbling, forgetting that you don't have a point midway through your sentence. It's embarrassing. Like, they really should stop whilst ahead. And just to quickly, in the interest of time, let's just hop on over to this other one, which I thought was even more hilarious. I was shouting at the TV screen at this one, looking like a damn fool. Here we go. Okay, so this is the thing where they had 3 people standing off 3 actual women on one side, conservative women, and 3 trans women on the opposing side, and they asked that question to see whoever walked forward is the ones that agree with that statement. And one trans woman walked up, and this is her. She said, "I do think that trans women have every right."
Trans women have every right to compete in women's sports. When trans women are on hormones, the hormones break their body down. Having gender-affirming surgery breaks down the body. And so I think we really need to be educated before we jump to a conclusion that trans women are stronger than cis women in sports.
I wish I could post a picture of the chick that said that. Like,
I find it interesting that you assume the people who disagree with you are uneducated, and I will speak out against that. I think the research shows that trans women do happen to have a biological advantage against biological women. Even though you are taking hormones and that does start to change your body and level things out, we're talking about primarily people who have transitioned post-puberty, which means they do have male bone density, male wingspan,
like
male hand size, feet size, lung capacity. All of these things are going against women, biological women, when trans women start to enter their spaces, their sports, and compete against them. And this is really concerning for me.
I think for me, it's not a question of whether or not trans women can compete in sports. It's a question of how can we change the institution of sports in this country to make it equitable and to create more opportunity for cis women.
Okay, first of all, I hate this cis term. She's talking about women, Second of all, like, make it equitable. The fact that she thinks that society needs to change to make it equitable, like, there's nothing that suggests that diversity and inclusivity and representation in sports is a necessity. As a matter of fact, I can't even say that because a lot of the NHL just went woke like a motherfucker. So it's like, you know, the NFL, the NBA, like they not, that's not their main focal point. Like, it's inclusivity. Like NHL, they want the damn hockey player to wear the damn pride flag out there. He didn't want to do that. Like, everything is don't have to like include you. Like, they installed this narrative that they must be a part of everything or something is wrong with you. And they ride hard for that shit.
And for trans women, and like that's kind of like why I wanted to actually ask you all, like, what has your relationship to sports been?
What the fuck difference does that make?
I don't think you have to have a direct relationship to sports to realize that women are being affected by this issue.
Count it.
And I do reject the idea of equity.
Count it.
There is no way to come about an equality of outcome, which is what equity is saying. There's a reason that women's sports are less funded and less watched than men's sports. It's because men seem to excel athletically and they seem to press the bounds of athleticism way farther than women do. We now exist on a slippery slope. If it's female sports, is it then female locker rooms? Is it then female prisons, which we're now seeing becoming an issue here in California, where biological male inmates are being put in female facilities because they identify as women?
What?
We have to discuss as a society how much we give into the feelings of wanting everybody to be accepted and how much we are willing to do that at the expense of biological women.
Well put.
I use myself as an example.
This is the trans woman, in case the voice is misleading for you a little bit.
This is about how big I was in junior high school and early high school. I used to be able to walk up to a V8 engine block, pick it up off the floor, and set it on a table.
This lady looks like Mrs. Doubtfire.
And if I was in powerlifting
Gina
or weightlifting, that amount of, that advantage was just unbelievable. I've been on hormones for 15 years. Did it weaken me? Absolutely. Did my bone density really hasn't changed? My muscular hasn't changed. This is not a binary question. There's a lot of nuances involved.
I just want to ask a question for what you were saying. Can you throw out some statistics?
Okay, this shit here. Can you throw out some statistics? Now, what she's just done, this mental game that we trying to play here, is by one saying, can you throw out some statistics, establishing herself as like the authority on this topic. Can you throw out some statistics? It's like, first of all, whether you can throw out statistics or not, that does not affect the existence of statistics in any way. Just because you can't bring them up doesn't mean that they don't exist. And then, what if I can throw out some statistics? Can you throw out some statistics? Let's listen.
I don't think you need to have there's an abundance of research. There's even trans activists who agree with exactly what I'm saying.
Right.
And your hormones can change, right? And even she just spoke to the fact that her bone density did not change in going on hormones and changing these things. And we can see it in sports as we're watching them. Leah Thomas is a great example.
So if you can't throw out the statistics, we're not doing enough of the work.
What? So just fuck everything you just said. If you can't throw out the statistics, we're not doing enough of the work. Who is we?
And let's also be clear. There are some cisgender women who produce high levels of testosterone.
Irrelevant. That's not what we're talking about.
Well, and so we really have to unpack it from all different sides here.
Can you
What the hell does that mean?
Statistics about the bone density of biological men and how it changes upon being on hormones and whether or not it levels out to biological women?
I actually cannot, because when
Oh, you cannot? Well, that means you're not doing enough of the work. What's your excuse?
think of those statistics, I would think it was BS.
Oh, once again, establishing yourself as the authority on this shit. Like, if you think it's bullshit, then it's bullshit everywhere. Who gives a goddamn what you think in terms of whether it's bullshit or not when there's an abundance of evidence out there? Like, it's arrogant. It's arrogant as fuck. And it just assumes that you're right, we're wrong, and we need to just bow down. Who the fuck are you?
to be quite honest with you, because the reality of it is we could talk about statistics and the research all day long.
Which is what you wanted to talk about, but nobody else is doing that, but go ahead.
But it's about experience. We're going to be looking more at the experience because, again, when we look at cisgender women,
regular women,
who produce high levels of testosterone and who have been kicked out of sports and been disqualified from teams based on something that they biologically cannot control, then what are we really talking about here?
Well, we're talking about, data and that is overwhelming, and we're talking about what is also we're capable of seeing with our human eyes. I think it's very clear that if you compare maybe you to the rest of us, there is going to be a strength difference.
Which there is. She's easily the tallest one, largest one, most athletic one on that panel.
There's going to be a bone density difference.
But you're just saying that you don't know until we physically do something.
And just because we don't know that we will, that doesn't disqualify me. You don't know that you won't have a strength advantage.
And just perceiving and assuming just because...
You're assuming that you won't have a strength advantage, and she's assuming that you are. So both of you, that logic works against you.
Because I look a certain way, that's not fair. Me and her could look, we could look completely different or whatever, but she may be stronger than me.
What's this got to do with sports?
I agree, but
she have much more agility and vitality than I do. We don't know that until you actually do it.
And you can tell that she's just used to being conversationally aggressive, just talking over motherfuckers. Like, you can tell that's in her repertoire. Like, this is every day. This is what happens for her. This is how she do things normally. She taking her turn letting old girl talk, but like, she's not willing to hear nothing, nobody else's point. What she says is what it is, and she's always happy to tell you why you're wrong about something. That's bullshit.
It's been studied, it's been done.
And it's been done, we've seen it
But it's
time
an
and
assumption.
time again.
But we're only going on assumption at this point.
It's been done. What's the assumption?
Because again,
it's not assumption when we see it. Maybe it's the news cycle that I watch, but I see it a lot. I see it quite often where they're showing trans women beating. By far.
And you don't see women dominating in the men's sports, right? You don't see trans men going into men's sport and just completely dominating and wiping the field with them. This is what happens when you, in my opinion, twist God's design. And when you go against God's design, you create these...
And she messed up on the God too, because now she said God, she's introduced religion into this conversation and it goes completely off the fucking rails. So I'm going to let her finish her stanza, but I'm going to do you a favor and spare you all that.
Problems that you wouldn't have if you weren't going against what God intended.
I'm going to take your side a little bit of...
Boom, and then instantly created division. As soon as you brought God into the mix, you created division. We're no longer talking about what we're talking about anymore, and that's where we're at with it. You know? Like I said, this is even comedy, that this is like an actual real thing that you can find on the internet. This shit is hilarious. It's hilarious. I should not be able to just find this on the internet. Like, this is obviously a no-no. Like, out of all the pointless discussions we have, out of all the people advocating for this shit, like, until it's your daughter getting dunked on by some nigga and fucking injured somehow, you're not like, what the fuck is it gonna take? Crazy. Guess it's easy to see where I stand on this topic, but we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. You know, I hope I've driven the point home. Like, this part of the equation, as if, you know, the vast majority of it fails to check out. It fails to check out, and you got some owning up to do. You gotta be honest. You gotta look at this shit objectively. It's not a good idea. It's not a good idea. Taking out the religion and what she said, you fucking with the fabric of reality. And as Jordan Peterson says, you can't really twist reality, because just as much as you twist it, it's gonna snap back. Why get snapped back on? Why not just lay off? Why not let off? Why is it a constant forward motion? Where are you in such a rush to go? It's weird, man. It's fucking weird. Like, it does not, it's like, this gotta be a video game. Anywho, that's the show for you today. Appreciate you for listening. Tune into the next one. You know, always gonna be talking about something juicy. Always gonna be talking about something interesting, you know, or to the best of my ability. Appreciate it all the way. That being said, I'm signing off. I'll holler at y'all.